Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the City Council meeting for July 24th, 2023. We all stand for the pledge, please.
A lot of people in here.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Take roll call. Quickly.
Councilman Gary Donovan.
Councilman Gary Donovan, Council at Large, present.
Councilwoman Colleen O'Connor.
Councilwoman Colleen O'Connor at large here.
Councilman Ron Quagliani.
Councilman Ron Quagliani, Council at Large here.
Councilwoman Bridget Hosky. Councilwoman Melly Garthwaite is absent. Councilwoman Sarah Akbarali.
Councilwoman Sarah Akbarali, 3rd District present.
Councilman Mitchell Galagnano.
Councilman Mitchell Galagnano, 4th District, present.
Councilwoman Robin Watt Hamilton.
Councilwoman Rob Watt Hamilton, 5th District present.
Councilwoman Kathy Tucker is absent. Councilman Victor Boris is absent. Councilman Robert Bruno.
9th District present.
Councilman Stephen Johnstone.
Councilman Stephen Johnstone, 10th District, present.
And Chairman Peter Massaro.
Chairman Peter Massaro, President, and 6th District Councilman.
And
Thank
we
you,
have a
Stacy.
quorum there, Mr. Chairman.
And now we got a special public hearing, and I'll turn it over to the Finance Department.
Thank you, Chairman. The time is now 6:56. In public hearing regarding Finance Committee Communication C from June 26, 2023. Agenda from David Taylor, Acting Finance Director, in regards to an ordinance approving $12,780,100 from the fiscal year 22-23 capital plan, authorizing the issuance of $12,780,100 bonds. Is anyone in the public that would like to come up and address the city council regarding? For a second time, would anyone from the public like to come up and address the city council regarding this matter? For a third and final time, anyone from the public like to come up and address the council? The time is now 6:57, Chairman, and the public hearing is closed.
Thank you, Councilwoman Hosky.
We have to recess. 3 more minutes.
We'll have to take a recess.
Good evening, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, it's 7 o'clock. We'll have public session. Be advised, public session is back to 5 minutes. I was trying to be very nice last time, and it wasn't too nice, so we're back to 5 minutes. So anybody like to get up to address the council? Would anybody like, yes,
Hi, I'm Kathy Hebert. I live at 166 Bloom Street, West Haven. And I just wanted to invite you all to a cleanup that I put the information on your desk there. April 5th, 9 to 11, Marginal Drive. What'd I say, April? I do that all the time. April. Yeah, lots of planning. So August 5th, 9 to 11. And the other thing is just to kind of keep you updated, because I've been working on this for a while with the West River Watershed Coalition. We originally thought that part of Marginal Drive from Orange Avenue, Route 1, if you're looking from Orange Avenue towards Marginal Drive, part of it was New Haven, part of it was West Haven. Well, West Haven did a survey and New Haven did a survey, and New Haven basically owns it all. So New Haven, is the city that I have to deal with, not you all to go with for money. We're trying to not open it to traffic, but do hiking, biking. We've actually put a trail in there. But anyway, you're invited to come check out our work on August 5th, 9 to 11. Thank you.
thank you. Anybody else like to come up and address the council? Second time, would anybody else like to come up and address the council? Third and final time, would anybody else? Yes, Mr. Brown.
Frederick Brown, 100 Smith Street. I've been asked to talk a little bit about the Economic Development Commission and sort of its role in the city. And this presentation isn't meant to discuss the havens. I know that's was a bit of controversial issue last meeting, and so it's just simply to discuss the Economic Development Commission. According to our city charter, the Economic Development Commission, under the city charter, fosters and promotes orderly and commercial and industrial development in the city of West Haven and works with other city agencies towards such ends. That's what it reads in the city charter. It's one of our responsibilities. From what I understand from this, we are really an advisory board to the city and working with other agencies and working with the public. We can provide a platform for the public to speak on how they would like to see the city developed. We do have open meetings. We meet the second Wednesday of the month and at 6 o'clock in this room. In addition, we do other programs such as the Hidden Gems program, which we write up about different businesses in the city, whether they be new, whether they be existing, and so people will know that those businesses are in the city. Sometimes they just don't know they're there. We are also working with the Milford Chamber of Commerce with the adopt-a spots and the banners once the city decides what they're going to do with the ordinance. Also with the beautification of the city is something else that we do. I think we play an important role in the city, and I hope we can look forward to promoting future development and new businesses in the city. And I've also looked at some of the mayoral candidates' issues, and economic development is very important to them. And I look forward to working with whoever becomes the mayor next year and producing economic development in this city. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Would anybody else like to come up and address the council? Yes, ma'am.
Lori Simone, 107 Richards Place, West Haven. I just wanted to follow up on the city council and the pension for the police department, and wanted to know if we've gotten anywhere on that in the last 2 years. So we talked about it about a month ago, and I just wondered if there's any new developments, if there's any movement on it at all.
I'll speak on it. Yes, ma'am, there is a development on it, but there's gonna be brought up in an executive session. That's all I can tell you right now,
Do you know when that is?
today.
Thank you.
You're welcome. What else like, can I address the council? Yes, sir.
Yes, my name is Jim Pendry. I'm from Westport, Connecticut. And I guess the Havens was too much of a topic last time, but to me, it's emblematic of what I think are the issues facing everybody who lives in West Haven, which is a lack of economic development, a lack of, sort of openness and clarity and problem solving. To me, as an outsider, increasingly looking deeply into the city, there's just so many problems that can be solved with effort. And I look at New Haven as a city that has just accomplished so much in the last 20 years in terms of ratables, in terms of businesses, in terms of becoming an attraction. I mean, the New York Times has it as one of the 25 best places to visit in the world this year. I mean, it's crazy, but, it's true. So I just really urge everybody to not have this kind of attitude that nothing can change, it's just the way it's always been, but to really work hard to make the changes that you need. And the Haven is a starting place. You need somebody who's a local, who understands what the city wants and needs, and is willing to work hard to make it happen. So that's all I had to say.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else like to come up and address the council? Yes, sir.
Your first, may I have permission to speak from here, or do I didn't wanna?
Should come up there.
I guess things are in motion. Thanks. Eleanor Slamba, 18 4th Avenue. And I first of all want to congratulate and thank Councilperson Robin Hamilton for all the beautiful work that went into the Juneteenth celebration this past weekend. And I come tonight just briefly in support of Councilwoman Tucker's comments under new business at the last meeting about making sure that the guidelines for permitting and the associated costs and everything are very transparent and accessible, so that everybody knows that they're being, so that any kind of different group that might be approaching the city to want to do an event knows that they're being treated equitably. Sure that we all want to live somewhere where that's certainly the case. And to us with Arts West CT, cultural equity means being able to have access to the public spaces for free expression of culture, and that our institutions support the common humanity and neighbors getting to know each other better as neighbors. That makes West Haven such a great place to live in. So I just wanted to add my support for her suggestion that ensuring that that's the case, as not only as different city departments start changing their fees, but as we kind of go into a whole new season of fiscal management and responsibility, that we all know what is entailed, and not only what the city expects of people or groups who approach it to do things, but that we know what we can expect from the city in all those different cases, because we field a lot of inquiries and everything, and it just makes everything that much more ripe with promise for the future when we know that what the rules of the road are and that they're the same for everybody. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to come up and address the council? Yes, sir.
Hello, my name is Steve Brabham, a resident of West Haven for about 30 years, homeowner here, also the owner of a entertainment business called
Excuse me, sir, could you give us your address, please?
13 Valley Brook Road. West Haven, Connecticut.
Thank you.
Also the owner of a entertainment business, and we had been providing music on the West Haven Beach. So I just wanted to follow up on with what Eleanor had to say about the fee, the schedule for getting a permit, but also to add to that, the payment terms. We were, what we thought under agreement to have an event on a date that coincided with another event. And I do understand that it was about the timing of the payment, but it caused harm to my company because I wasted resources, exerted resources for a specific day that we did not have. So that caused harm to me and my reputation of my company. So I think it would be good to not only know what the rates are for getting a permit in the city, but also the payment terms, what you need to pay, when you need to pay it, at what point is that forfeited. That's what I have to say.
Thank you, sir. Would anybody else like to get up and address the council? Would anybody else like to come up and address the council? Third and final time, anybody likes to come up and address the council? Public session is closed at 7:11.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to add an executive session tonight, under finance updates, police pension study update, if we could, like to make a motion to, suspend the rules and allow for an executive session on a discussion regarding the police pension.
Second.
All in favor?
So I got discussion?
Yes, discussion.
Mayor or Attorney Hodgson, who would you like in the session, executive session?
I would like both of them if we.
Just the two of them?
Yes.
Okay. So the motion will be.
And police, the finance director and the police chief.
So the Mayor Rossi, Attorney Hodgson, Chief Perno, and Finance Director Taylor. So that-
And the commissioner.
and Commissioner Carano.
Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Thank you, Councilman. All right. I'd like to approve the minutes for June 26th, 2023.
Second.
Any discussion? Is it, Mitch, you weren't here at that, right?
It says that.
Oh, okay. So I thought it did. No discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
I abstain.
I abstain as well.
3 abstentions. Motion passes. Okay, and the clerk will give the communications.
Okay, we have before us communication A from the tax collector regarding overpayment refunds for July 2023, which will be filed with tonight's minutes. We have communication B from Chief Joseph Perno, West Haven Police Department, regarding animal shelter donations, which is being assigned to the Finance Committee, Chairwoman Hosky. Communication C from Fire Chief Terenzio, Allingtown Fire Department, regarding a request for interdepartmental transfer funds being assigned to the Finance Committee, Chairwoman Hosky. Communication D from Pamela Avellino, Director of Personnel, regarding the tentative agreement between the City of West Haven and Local 1303-345 water pollution being assigned to the Finance Committee, Chairwoman Hosky. And that concludes our communications for this evening, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Stacy. Appreciate it. All right, Councilman as a whole, he's not gonna be here until 7:30, so we'll skip that. And we'll go to the Finance Committee. Councilman Hosky.
Thank you. The time is 7:14. Finance is in session. Members present are Councilwoman O'Connor, Councilwoman Hamilton, Councilwoman Akbarali, Councilman Quagliani, and myself acting as chair. We have, we're gonna do the finance updates. Thank you. Mr. Taylor, thank you so much. do you have something you want to tell us, or would you like me to just?
Sorry about that. Sorry, my time's up.
Time's up.
Oh, my goodness.
So I did provide some statements and a short summary of where we are after 11 months. Seems a little bit anticlimactic to tell you about 11 months in the middle of July, but we have not closed for June yet. But so that's what we have. We are at 99.9% of revenue received. Property taxes are at 98.5. We will hit about 99.3. We'll be short about $750,000 on property taxes. Fortunately, we've collected enough suspense and prior year taxes to offset most of that, so we'll be at about 234 short for the year. Now these comments are a little dated, but we're going to land right about there so far as taxes are concerned. Fortunately, we've still have maintained a nice bucket of money sitting. We've been surpluses over the prior years. We have money invested, and we continue to make about $250,000 every month. So, in 1 month, we offset that. Funding is all in. It's over. It's 101.3. We also received the rest of our grants in June. And the municipal revenue share, as I think I mentioned a long time ago, we got a little extra this year. State gave a lot of communities extra this year as they had excess funds. We're still going to spend within budget. My projections stand based on what I've seen for June so far. We will be able to talk about putting surplus money into internal service funds and other places where we need to. As we've also already discussed. Sewer, I need to go to the MARP with that transfer that we approved for them, you approved for them, on the $1.5 million to cover the cost of Chestnut Street. But I'm sure that they will approve that. We'll get that done. Other than that, they're running favorable, as is the fire department, but year-end spending has not all been accumulated. And as you know, people will tend to use their budgets.
So, I think I have two questions. One being, you're saying there are certain areas, most notably full-time salaries, overtime and financials, which will require us to consider budget adjustments this year. Can you allow, that's
Sure.
concerning?
Sure.
Without
Well,
any context?
It's because of the way we budget. We budget for a full staff, and then we budget overtime that we would expect to have if we were fully staffed, and we've done that for years, and that's just the way we do it. As we all know, and Mr. Chief Colonel will be glad to back me up on this, we don't have all of our positions filled, so therefore, especially in our public safety areas, we do have to always have somebody on duty. And so therefore we incur quite a bit of overtime.
So I think that, let me just say, so I think that's important to note, because the community is like, yay, the overtime's coming from the police, so we don't get any, the overtime.
Yeah.
So if it's the police, which is fine.
Yeah.
It's,
Police,
not
fire.
that you need me to tell you that, but I was just wondering, there's not other.
Oh, sure, there are. We happen to be short one or three people in the finance department, so we've been required to work overtime as well. But it's not to the extent of, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. But there are some departments like that.
Right. But when you're saying about, I know there's more than one question, not my third one, but it's
You're
still
part B.
under
You're part
that,
B
yeah.
of the first
Okay.
question.
But isn't that, because you're saying you're short staffed in those areas, those positions are really where you're gonna transfer the money from. It's not like it's gonna come out of our general fund,
No,
you're not gonna,
no.
right, it's going to
They're-
come from your salaries.
And we're still gonna have a surplus.
Yes, okay,
Yes.
I just wanted to make sure that the
Yes.
community was aware that that's
We
where
will-
your money's coming from.
We'll once again add to the general fund, and we have, I believe, enough surplus this year to start funding the internal service funds as we've been discussing through the budget process.
forgot what my other second question was. Do you have a question?
Sure. So David, you know I like you to put a little meat on the bone, so what is the estimated back of the napkin unaudited figure for a potential surplus as of June 30?
Oh gosh, I should have looked at this one more time because I knew you were gonna ask. But I believe we'll be able to put $2 million internal service and have a $4 million surplus.
So is that inclusive or
That
exclusive?
would be 6,
It's 6 million, okay.
back of the napkin.
I like that napkin.
Haven't
Let's
quite
keep-
flipped
keep-
it over yet.
Keep that napkin. And so I understand 98.5% of the property taxes received of what? What is our collection rate that we budget for
Well, the
property
collection rate
taxes?
determines the amount of tax we expect to bring in. So that's 98.5 of, roughly 98.5. We budget at 98.5, so.
Right,
we
90, so
missed
that's
it.
98.5 of 98.5?
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
That's a little bit of mumbo jumbo for
Yeah,
everybody, I know, but if we were to collect all the taxes at the mill rate, we would have if we could do that, we would budget a higher number in our revenue. We don't, because we know we don't. And what we're saying is, we missed the number we budgeted by 1.5%, sorry.
Got it.
Yep.
And I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I thought I was gonna ask
Yeah.
my other question.
No, I just wanted to comment on the parking. So while it's not a complete year, and while we've taken some time with equipment and whatnot, it's a substantial improvement from where we've been. I haven't gotten a whole lot of emails complaining about it, or folks on the side streets complaining about it, so,
good.
all in all, I'm gonna take that as a positive and a good collaboration between, the police department, the procurement office, the finance department, and kind of leveraging technology to kind of make our system a little smoother for our residents, so, thank you.
Thank you.
That was my question.
Uh-oh.
So, I just wanna recognize the work that Ricky Spryer did on this. I mean, I don't know if we didn't have him, if this would be up and off the ground and be as successful as it is. So I have two questions. One is, can you please explain to the public so that they're no longer wondering where exactly this money is going? Is it going directly into our general fund? Is it going into the police department funds? Where is the money going exactly?
Yeah, it does go right into the general fund.
Each and every, every 2 weeks, monthly, at a quarter? When does it go? When does the deposit happen?
That's a interesting question. As you know, it's a new vendor. I believe we've received our first check in the mail. We will, I believe, be on a schedule of monthly ACH transfers into our accounts.
Okay. And the other question I had is that we're being told, and I don't know if you can speak to this, or that the signs over the VA are being ripped down and tore down as quickly as they can be put up. They're being ripped down again. I don't know if that's rumor, if that's based in fact, but if you look at the monies, it looks like it might quite possibly be occurring. Do you know?
I can't comment on that. I've heard some anecdotal stuff on that. That would really be a Public Works.
Can we send a letter to Public Works and find out if that's true, and what's the solution behind that?
I would include Rick Spryer, and he's still
Spryer.
very intimately
No,
involved.
absolutely. I'm just saying, like, if they're
Yeah.
ripping it down, how do we enforce it? And what do we do? Does anyone?
Pretty sure we replace them. Yeah, I know that's not your question, but.
Right, but at what point is the company gonna say, okay, they're gonna start charging us?
Yeah, right.
Councilwoman.
How are you doing?
Doing fine, how are you?
So you mentioned that you're still down in finance.
Yes.
So do you know anything about, filling those,
We're very
slots?
encouraged to have, well, we've worked with personnel and with the union to beef up the salary for our budget coordinator and we believe we'll be able to fill that role in a few weeks. So very excited about that. That's gonna be a huge load off of my back and a great big step forward for the department and for the management of finances in the city. So that's gonna be very nice.
That's good news.
On, we need to also get, we had a person leave us a few months ago. We're working out sort of a new position, a little bit of reconfiguring of the department. We're hoping to have that job posted in a week.
That's good news.
And I think we'll fill it very quickly.
Thank you for that. Also, you mentioned that we're at 98% of collecting, taxes.
Correct.
How does that compare to like other communities or other cities? Because you say 98%, to me it sounds high, but then when you said the dollar amount, I was like, ugh.
I don't, well, taxes are, there's a lot of money in the tax revenue, so it's.
Right,
it's
right.
$750,000 is, just 1.5% of it, so.
That's
Yeah,
true.
so, I can't,
You don't know.
I believe Derby was around 98.5, 98.4, if I remember correctly. That's the only other town I've budgeted
Okay.
for.
Alright.
So, but that was a few years ago.
So it's kind of,
I don't think this is unusual.
okay. All right,
But then again, limited experience on that.
thank you.
Anyone else have a question? I have a question. The gentleman brought up the permits and fees and the transparency of that. Does that fall under your purview? Do you have fingers in that?
I do not. Most of the departments who charge fees, the only department that charges fees is the tax department that's under me. But like building and Public Works have fees. I believe in a previous council meeting, it was asked for and provided links to where those fees are.
Right, but
So maybe making that a little bit more public for people to be able to.
Well, I don't know if he was asking about the fees being public as much as he was asking for transparency in regards to the rules and regulations, so that if he's going into, and if I'm wrong, please follow up with me later. But he's saying he's going in to schedule an event on July 16th. He gets the paperwork. They're like, okay, you got to bring this paperwork back. At what point is he, like you put a what's the word I'm looking for? Reservation, or you put down a deposit. Thank you. You put down a deposit. Does it become his date? And at what time does he have to make the full payment before somebody else can come along and take his spot? You can shake your head yes if that's what you were referring. So I think that's what we're trying to figure out, right? Like when is he? And so that doesn't fall under you. That is
really
a huge
can't,
concern that we should probably, if you don't mind, Stacy, is that people should know. Because I can't book anything unless I put a deposit, and how long is that deposit good? I mean, and for him to lose the date, and I understand all of that, but if it's not disclosed to him and it's not in writing in a contract that we gave to him, and he signed off his terms and agreements, and I know it's not you, but
Well, I think you made a good point there. It should be
I
on.
appreciate you telling me that.
It should be on that piece of paper that he takes away. Your spot is not reserved unless you give this amount of a deposit.
Right, and-
Something. So, yeah, I think that's a
appreciate
great
that.
idea.
Any, well, good. Well, Mr. Taylor, you've outdone yourself, and we appreciate you and the hard work.
Thanks.
Oh, I apologize.
Are you opening it up to them?
Oh, I didn't. Please don't go anywhere. Councilwoman, did you have questions? Please go ahead.
Thank you. So in follow-up to that very conversation, I think this gentleman faced a pretty unfair set of circumstances in his approach, to the city. And I think the reason why I asked in the last meeting that you mentioned before was for the fees was because it was not a transparent process. And I think that what happened as a result caused potential harm to his reputation as a result, because what he did was he went out and got vendors, assuming that the date that was shared with him was going to be the date that he would actually be able to have the event. And so I know that the reason why I was asking for the fees to be public, and what you sent was fine, but it wasn't inclusive of all the people that were at the table when we met, with the city. So the police department and the fees that they would charge, and, you know, why they would charge those fees, EMS, or ERS rather. The Department of Health was there, and they did provide their fee schedule. There were several groups of people that would be, in the fire department, there were several groups of people that would be expected to respond to an event. And the application for the event included all of those people. So I think in fairness to this gentleman and any other person that came after him to apply for a permit, should have that level of transparency.
Sure.
And be given a date, and or the expectations to secure that date. Because it's difficult to secure a date to have a festival or an event with the city if you don't have a date, because what do you tell your sponsors and your vendors? You know, and if there's an expectation that he pays for something, that should be made clear. And I think that that's what we were all after, you know, in this instance. So I don't know what role the finance department, I know this isn't your issue, because I know that Public Works led that conversation, but the ask from me to you at that time was for the list of fees, and it wasn't all inclusive of all of the people that would be at that table that were listed on that contract that that gentleman was given.
You know, I was able to give you what people gave to me.
Right, so I don't know
Unfortunately, I think somebody else needs to take that ask. I'm not sure who that is.
Well, I don't know
it's gonna
who,
need-
maybe you can help me figure that out, because I don't know who else to ask. Maybe the mayor can help us figure that out, because there's a list of people that are on that document. That is departments that are being shared with the public when they wanna have an event, a festival, whatever you wanna call it. But if the expectation is that they be, given a price, based on the use of those departments, then the fee schedule should be clear, and it's not. So I don't know where we ask for that. I'm asking for it now, I guess. If we can get that resolved, that would be helpful and go a long way going forward.
May I?
Yes.
It's the Parks Department, we'll address that letter to the Parks.
Well, they were at the table, and they clearly didn't have it. Okay, so this is what I'm saying. So there was a whole list of departments there, none of which produced any fees that were transparent to me as the council representative for the gentleman who was applying, or anybody else for that matter.
All I know about and I call it the incident, if you will, is I was involved. The problem was, and I don't know where the fee thing is either, but there was agreements that payments were supposed to be made, and they were not made. And that's what I was actually just looking on my phone for, because it was back and forth, and that type of thing. So I agree with what you're saying, it should be transparent, it should be on like everything else, it has a glass in front of it showing people, and I think that should be done.
Right, and I think the issue with the fees and not having the fees, that much is true. We established that, we knew that, that, you know, he hadn't had the fees and wasn't able to secure the date, quote unquote, for that reason. But I think the issue was that how we came upon that price for him and for this venue that, you know, he was representing. We don't know how the price list evolved, right, where it came from. And similarly, other people who had events didn't necessarily have the same charges and weren't expected to produce the same funds at the same time that this gentleman was being asked to produce them. So this is where the discrepancy lies, and this is why we look the way we look to the public, because we're not being transparent. And so what I'm asking is that there be transparency in whatever we're asking the public to provide, you know, to pay us. There should be a price associated with it. Why that price is that price? What are they getting for that? So that's what I think this gentleman was asking for. That's certainly what I'm asking for. And if we're gonna do business with the community that way, we should be transparent in what it is that we're asking for.
I believe, though, it still would lie with Park and Rec, Mark Payne, because he's the one, I mean.
Well, this is where it started. We started there, and I can share with you well, because I don't want to take up the time of the council for this discussion, but we started there, and it didn't end well. I'm done.
And I think it's a lack of accountability. I
mean, I know we're saying it's Mark Payne or it's this or it's somebody, and with respect, it's not, like, we're trying to figure it out and we're not even sure. So if we can send that letter to Mark Payne saying there needs to be a process, it needs to be as clear as glass. I don't know who said that, but you did. Thank you, Mayor. It needs to be clear as glass. That and another thing that really concerns me about what Councilwoman Tucker is saying is that it appears that two events are not having the same criteria or being asked to do the same thing. So where there is uncertainty is where we get into trouble. You should be able to go and Google it, and it says, 50 or less. Like, I know registering at the high school to have the gym, 50 or less people, 50 or more people. 50 or more, there's all this stuff I have to do. If 50 or less, there's all this other stuff I have to do. On the weekend, it should be that clear.
Right.
Can we?
Absolutely.
I appreciate you.
I will CC the different people that were at the table,
Right, and I think they're listed on that application.
and I'm gonna need to probably get a copy of that application.
Sure will.
If you don't mind, please.
Sure will.
Thank you.
You're
And does anyone else have any questions for Mr. Taylor? Thank you, Mr. Taylor. We appreciate
Thank you.
you.
Thank you.
We're gonna go quickly to our MARB update.
There was a full MARB meeting on July 13th. There was some positive feedback on the Whittlesey assessment. The board is pleased with the progress West Haven and Mr. Taylor have been making. Most of the critical stuff has been taken care of. The update on the finance manager is they're very close to signing a deal. They're hoping that the manager should be here sometime in August. There was a bunch of action items and all of them were approved. So I'm gonna go through all the ones that were approved. These were ARPA grants awarded, the business lease / rental incentive program, the support for community mental health grant, and the supports for the arts community grant. I know not all of them have been put up on the website yet, but they will get there. Pre-approval of the purchase for the boilers for Kerrigan School, the Field Turf USA for the athletic fields reconstruction, Imperial Company restoration, the Noble Street Child Development Center roof replacement, the gasoline and diesel pricing was approved by a state contract, the stormwater master agreement task orders number 38 and 39 were approved. The new PKF O'Connor's Davies, no relation, audit services, we're in year 3 of a 5-year contract, that was approved. And the Winkle Bus Company of West Haven was approved for school transportation. On the Board of Ed side, there was 2 things that were not approved, but they were pending. The Public School Security Service, the proposals were due that day, July 13th, and the bid should have been open that afternoon. And the Public School Food Service Management is awaiting pending state approval. We also reviewed the May 2023 monthly financial report like we did here. And the one good thing was that normally they don't meet in August, but they did agree that if something was really super important, they would call a special meeting so that they can approve it if it was something that we needed to get approved before September's meeting.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Are there any questions for the Councilwoman? Great. So we will.
Please.
What is it, go into recess so we could go into the council or end it? What is it?
No,
Recess.
Recess, thank you. I thought it was. So we're gonna recess the finance committee so you're able to bring Ken.
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Carney, and
The time is 7:39.
the time is now
7:39. I got
I
it.
appreciate you.
You got it, Nick. I'm gonna open up the council as a whole.
Yeah, no, council as a whole at 7:30.
7:39.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. I do, I have a lot of extras.
Yeah, you got one right here.
It's also on the city website. Hello, everyone. Good to see everybody. I'll just start from the top and move down. Starting with the ARPA Act Financial Management, we have spent 63% of budget. From that, we have pre-written contracts that we can share with vendors. That saves us money. We have checklists that we have made to follow every vendor. We have created policy that the Finance Department has adopted, and we got audited by Whittlesey and came out A+.
That's
Okay,
fantastic.
so we feel good about that. Money well spent. Child Development Center roof starts in September. Parks Fund is moving along. I think you'll all agree that as you drive through your districts, you see parks that you probably didn't think would ever open again. Trees are gone, roads are being built, signs are going up, things are being painted. It's really going very well, and that'll continue. Food bank money, the contracts are done and they're sitting before MARB for approval. Johnson Senior Center, if you go to your booklet, pages 15 through 17. What I've done is I've taken this booklet and I've highlighted the larger projects to let everybody know that we are making great progress and we are going to spend all this money and time. So if you go to page 15, you will see the plan for the Johnson Senior Center, first floor and second floor. And then on page 17, you'll see the budget, which in the middle of the page, if you look at it, it's about looks like about 64,000. That's our anticipated budget. There was an ask to move the Savin Rock Museum to the Senior Center. It didn't cost us any money to figure that out, but the architect did do a budget on that, and that doubled the budget. So obviously that's not being done. But the initial request from the council looks like it's gonna be on budget on the Senior Center, and these plans are done, and this is going out to bid the first week in August. Moving on, the Stormwater Capital Fund, that is being spent at 37%. The Stormwater Problem Area, we have a contract with Cerulli. He now has in his possession through Abdul the Smith report, which details every storm great in the city, all the rivers, all the problems we're having. And we're gonna exercise our right to use him and start going through these clean up these issues to stop flooding. We have the recycling center. If you go to page 13 of your book. The recycling center is fully designed and there is a permit before D. It's gonna be on Helm Street. If you look at this diagram, the way it works is you drive in, and there's about 50 different dumpsters. Each dumpster or container takes a different product. One might be mattresses, one might be glass, one might be wood, whatever the debris is. It's all broken up, and anyone can go there. There is a plan to help residents who cannot drive there with their debris, but this is the beginning of that plan. And we hope to have this out to bid very soon. I met with Corporation Counsel down on site. We identified which land the city actually owns, and this plan is based on that visit. We have $1 million scheduled for that, and there actually is a budget. If you go to page 14, you'll see the budget for the transfer station. Next, I've got broadband access library. That's $100,000, 22% spent. That is committed by contract. So we have until December of '26 to spend that money. That can't change. City Hall windows is going back out to bid. We had 4 people show up. One company bid the disposal and removal of the windows only. The other company said we don't want to get involved in disposal removal, so they didn't bid.
We called all the vendors, and we're breaking it up into 2 projects, and we feel we'll get bids based on that. Fire districts, starting with Allentown, go to page 5. There is a meeting tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. with MARB to visit all 3 fire districts. The goal is to get MARB approval to spend the $1 million bucket of money for each station. We had each station talk about their deficiencies and how they'll spend the MARB money. In the case of Allentown, if you go to page 6, they're gonna spend most of their money on building this annex, if you will. That is a 50 by 26 foot block building that will allow them to put their extractors in. The extractors is what they have to use when they come back from a fire. They don't have that equipment right now. It'll go in this building. It'll also free up a lot of parking because their boats, their trucks, their equipment can all go in this structure. They're short on room, so that will take care of that. And we're presenting that to MARB tomorrow with a visit at the actual station. Moving on to West Shore, go to page 7. West Shore, I'm sorry, this is Center District. Center District is asking to purchase 2 properties that have houses on them on Savin Ave, and the idea would be to expand their parking lot. I spent some time down at their parking lot. It is a total nightmare. They don't have room for anything. There's not enough parking for their employees. There is not enough storage for their equipment. There is stuff all over the place. There are old pumps in the middle of the parking lot. There's oil collectors that they have to move around all the time. They have a structure to train the firemen on breaking through roofs, and they don't have room for that. They build these things, and they do it in the middle of the parking lot. When they work on a truck, it's gotta be outside. They can't fit it inside the building. So they wanna purchase 2 homes. They've already talked to the homeowners. They had them evaluated. We ran it through MARB. It qualifies, ARPA. It qualifies, and that will double their footprint, allowing them to expand. Next, we have West Shore, page 9 and 10. Yes.
Ken, hold on for a minute.
Sure.
Got a question.
So I just have to ask. I know, I know the issues that the Center Fire District faces with regards to property and their need but we're buying houses when the market is at an all-time high. Like, we're literally taking, and we're buying I literally can sell my house right now for double what I paid for it. So we are literally right now going to buy 2 houses that are probably double the price. And then how are we getting the money to then tear it down and pave it? And aren't there people living in those houses? Like so the 2 houses we're talking about are 3-family homes.
Mhm.
And Ken, I know it's not you, but in my mind, I know it's not you, and you're just the face of it, so I apologize. But we're getting ready to buy houses with ARPA money. So that you probably 3 years ago, the house was 200,000. These houses could now be $500,000. So I
can tell you more information. Go ahead.
I really need to understand.
All right, so listen, here's what it is. When you look at the needs of these fire departments, a lot of it comes down to space, okay? We have women coming into the fire department, nowhere to sleep. They don't have their own bathrooms. We have firemen who are sleeping on top of each other, literally. If there's a disease breakout, you lose 5 guys in the whole shift. These are antiquated facilities that don't meet the basic needs of our community or the fire department, and they don't meet the state and federal statutes.
So did I misunderstand?
Yeah.
I thought you were buying the houses to create a parking lot.
Well, let me just go
okay,
ahead. I'm giving a high level view.
I didn't
So there's gotta be additions put on these buildings, okay? And there's never a good time to buy 2 houses next to a fire station. The best time to buy the 2 houses is when you're using federal funds that are not taxing local residents. Those houses were appraised. Both owners agreed to sell for the appraisal, and it falls just south of $800,000 for both houses. That is the first step to expanding that fire station. They will never get an opportunity ever again. There is no grant money, there is no federal money with the exception of ARPA to make that purchase. And this is a unique opportunity and a unique time to make that purchase, and you're setting up for the future because the fire departments are getting busier. They don't have the room, they don't have the sleeping quarters. I mean, for crying out loud, Allentown doesn't even have extractors. That's something that OSHA requires, okay? So a lot of time and thought went into these requests, and what I had them do is write their assessments on these papers, and they show you where other funds take care of their other needs, state and federal funds. Nothing falls in the bucket of buying those two houses, and never will. So what happens? They're gonna have to raise taxes in their district to buy those houses someday, or they buy them now and they set the stage to expand their footprint to meet the needs of the community. That's what it comes down to. And there's never a good time to buy the houses, but the best time is when you're not using your own money. Moving on to West Shore Fire District. So here is an example. As you may know, both stations have community-type space, community rooms, if you will. They're going to expand their sleeping quarters into those rooms. They're going to create a sleeping quarter that is separated from the individual people using it, so you'll have like your own little mini room. It works for everyone in the event that there's an outbreak of disease, and it also works if you are going to bring female firefighters in. West Shore wants to spend their funds on these new sleeping quarters. And again, there's a meeting tomorrow at 10 o'clock. We're starting at the Center District, and then we're moving to Allentown, and we're ending in West Shore to show MARB the deficiencies that we have and how this money can solve those deficiencies and avoid hitting the local taxpayer to solve these problems in the near future. So that's the meeting tomorrow at 10 o'clock. And those are the three requests from the three different fire districts. Moving on, boardwalk cameras, page 11. So we broke this project up into an excavation crew. The excavation crew is responsible for doing the trenching, putting in the actual pipe and the wire. And then the camera people come in and they actually install the cameras, the poles, and the call stations. Many of you have heard it before, I'll say it again. This is a high-end camera that was spec'd. The police will have the opportunity to type in a license plate, and when the camera finds a license plate, it sends an email to the police. If someone does something that requires police attention, and there's a description, they type in the description, the guy with the white hat and red shirt, and the camera does the searching for them. The police are not wasting valuable man hours trying to find that footage, if you will. We had good turnout at both walkthroughs, and both these bids are due at the end of the month. As soon as they come in, we're going to give the green light to get this project going. Moving on to Painter Park Fieldhouse, go to page 12. This is the design of the actual field house at Painter Park. So what I'm trying to highlight here is that you don't see the money spent yet, but it's all well into the design mode. And it is not long before these things start hitting the street and contracts are signed. Painter Park is a 5,000 square foot facility that is not, it's gonna have a bathroom in it, it's gonna be conditioned, it's gonna have a field turf in it. It's going to allow 200 plus kids a place to go when there's a lightning storm or if there's an emergency. I went down there during the park activity. You can't fit these kids in a building anywhere down there. There's no building big enough. This is kind of like an important building here. And we're also possibly going to solve a problem at the rink because it's going to be very close to the rink, and that will allow us to introduce solar to service both buildings at no cost to us. So that's a story on the on Painter Park. Next, we have the EMS premium pay. That is a discussion between the city and MARB, and that will be brought up tomorrow at the end of the walkthrough. Meeting room cameras, that started today. They are in today. I know because I got yelled at today, so I know it started today. They're tearing apart the rooms. They're gonna have that done probably in the next 5 or 6 weeks. And this is a system that will allow a chairman to literally hit a button, and you go live. A new recording device, new cameras. You don't need a third party to activate that. You can do it yourself. Okay? Moving on to the housing grant fund, that's $354,000. That's completed and signed. We have until December of '26 to spend that money. It will be spent by then. So that's all wrapped up. Haley School ramp is in design, and I think we're gonna come in under budget on this one, based on our exploratory into the side of the ramp. It turns out it's a large concrete structure with failing brick. The brick is cosmetic. Rip the brick off. We don't want the brick anymore. Replace the slab. We'll be under 100 grand. West Haven Field Turf, go to page 3. This is the final design for the field. Again, this was taken off of the bonding list and thanks to the council, went to ARPA funds. So this is the field. There'll be a blue track around the field, and then there'll be a softball field that it will also be synthetic turf with new drainage that will solve the problem of that field becoming unplayable at high tide or when it rains. This job is in full swing, approved by MARB. They're ripping everything up, and I found out today that every stitch of turf coming off that field is getting recycled. It's gonna have a 0 footprint. Nothing's going in the dumpster. Okay? Moving on, we have the Savin Rock Playscape and Groundscape. Go to page 4. Now, if you haven't had the opportunity to try this slide out, you need to run down to Savin Rock and try this slide out. This thing is awesome. We took a single slide that had a giant hole in it. We created this tandem slide that's a lot longer, a lot more sturdy. Thanks to you guys approving ARPA funds. And this is a great slide. So it's been installed. And the next part of this is a 100 by 40 foot playscape on pavement that will have a river running through it with a bridge over it that when the person stands on the bridge, it'll look like they're 300 feet in the air through an optical illusion. With 6 games around the river and a track around the entire 100 by 40 foot design with bank corners. So we're very excited about that, and they should be starting that this week. But the slide is in right now. Feel free to go try the slide. Moving on, we got the Noble Community Center rooftop unit. That is out to bid. The electrical main breakers I've not done anything with yet, but I will soon. Carrigan boilers, go to page 2. So this is a $4.2 million spend budget. I think we'll come in under that. ARPA funding is 2.1, city bonding is 2.1. The city is going to buy the boilers directly. Going to buy them directly, because here's what happens. By the time we finish these very complicated specifications and we pick the lowest responsible bidder, if that person then orders the boilers, you blow the schedule. Say goodbye to the schedule. We want that person to have the boilers available to them, that vendor, when they win the award. Okay, we also eliminate all the markup on the boilers. Now, to tell you how complicated this job is, presently, Kerrigan has a steam system, an old steam system. These 2 giant, most inefficient boilers you could buy are operating in this large mechanical room, twice the size of this room, and the steam pipe is failing. It's corroding. We are going to add new pipe next to the steam pipe, turn the system into a water heat system, and create not 1, but 2 boiler rooms smaller than the one that we have now. One of the problems is the building takes up such a big footprint. When you're working from 1 boiler room, you're wasting heat because you're sending hot water down hallways and all over the place. By having 2 boiler rooms, it's far more efficient. The gas bill goes down considerably. There'll be 96, 97% high efficiency gas boilers, and if 1 room goes down, the other room can carry the entire school. Not as efficiently as 2, but it can do it. And then we take whatever funds we have left over and we do air conditioning through rooftop units in the gym and the cafeteria. And that's the plan. Now, the plan may be derailed along the way, but that's what we're doing right now. It's looking pretty good. So we're in design, we're gonna buy the boilers, we know that's gonna happen, and we hope to get some air conditioning out of it. Next, I've got the emergency bleacher repair at Veterans Field. I do have a bid for that, but that's gotta go out to official bid. Community mental health needs, that is going out to bid. I've been told I'm on the list, the short list to actually get that out to the paper. Aid to small business has been out to bid. We have some applications, and we just extended that to the end of August. Support for the Arts Center is also going out to bid. I'm on the list there. And then the storage shed for the police, that is in design, and those designers are working very quickly right now. So I'm sure you have a lot of questions, and that's everything I have for you.
Councilman Councilman Hamilton.
Hi,
Yes.
Ken, how are you?
How are you today?
Good. So the City Hall windows, we didn't get anything yet, but we spent $25,000 on what?
So that money goes to the architect. There's a contract under $50,000 for all of the design. That design includes all of the hazardous material. It includes the specifications for the windows meeting code. It includes all the alternates they put in there. It's a whole big design package. We have that. We put it out to bid, and one of the companies bid $180,000, do removal only. They're not window companies. They're just removal. And that gave us, and the other guys wouldn't bid because they don't do the removal, so we're splitting it into parts A and B.
Okay.
And we think we'll be successful in that respect.
Thank you for that. I'm excited about the recycling and the reuse center.
Mhm.
I think it's well needed, because we need to, make our city a little cleaner, and I
It's
think
be a game
this will-
changer.
Yeah. So I was kind of reading this, and it said that, it'll be a job training program along with this.
Yeah, so the best that I can do for you is put it out to bid, get it built for you. The process of running it is gonna go to somebody else. You know what I'm saying? That's
You're
what
like, who? That's what I wanted to know. Like, who?
Not me.
I know, but who is going, where will this live?
I think, well, it's gonna be in Helm Street. I think Public Works will be involved. I think, your grants department might be involved. There'll be a process to run that station. It's gonna create jobs, job training. It's gonna get trash off the streets. It's gonna take the place of bulk trash pickup, from what I understand, in a place to put all the debris. And it recycles it at the same time. So more and more communities are installing these transfer stations. They're actually popping up everywhere. This will be our one opportunity to do that.
No, I think it's a good idea. Just wanted to know who would be manning it. Thank you.
Councilman Haas.
Yes, so when did we expect to break ground on the recycling center?
So we can't break ground
Or-
until the permit comes in. I'm supposed to get an update on the permit this week. The permit may be several months out, but in the meantime, this will go out to bid. We will identify all the various dumpsters and which ones we want here in West Haven, and we'll be ready to start it once we get the permit. Yeah.
So, in my time on the council, as we close it out, one of the things that I've learned is that a lot of things that we purchase, we don't get the extended warranties on, or we don't get any warranties. I don't know if it was the chief that first told me that it was you. So we're not doing that here, right? The cameras and all of these, like, we're getting the warranties so that if we have a problem.
So to answer your question, I'll use the cameras as an example. We're not only getting the warranties, we're buying a maintenance package.
Okay.
So we hope to buy a 3-year maintenance package, and the people who install the cameras will come out, adjust them, clean them, tune them up. By the way, the industry standard on a lot of this stuff is 1 and 2 years only for warranty. It's not like your home where you get 10 or 15, 20 years. So we're making sure the designers include that, and they ask for the maximum warranty they can ask for. But the maintenance beyond the warranty, we think makes the product last a lot longer.
Right, because when you look at, putting in a new football field and softball field and all of that money, and then you just get a 1 year warranty and you passed it, and that's when stuff starts to happen. So I knew you more than likely did, but I just wanted to make sure that I actually asked the question. One more question. I'm glad you told me about Savin Rock. I've been away, and I know Savin Rock School, I was talking with their PTA president as far as getting that done. I wanted to ask about Painter Park. I know it's not in my district, but I don't really care. But I know that there's some issues over there. Is Painter Park under the park funding that's coming up? Are they gonna, because I guess the swings are down, or?
So, yeah, I think you may have missed this. So we actually contracted, I'm gonna say 180,000, but I could be off and going from memory, for 2 playscapes to go in at a location that was discussed with Mr. Payne to replace the old playscapes. And these playscapes are gonna have the rubber base, all the safety, all the ADA. So Painter Park is benefiting from those 2 playscapes and the Butler Building, which is gonna be an inside field. That's what Painter Park's getting.
Didn't Painter Park, and correct me because I could be wrong, didn't Home Depot come in while I was on the city council and rehab that?
Different park.
Lowe's, maybe.
Lowe's, I'm sorry, Lowe's, I don't wanna.
That's the wood one across, next to
Well,
Kelsey.
that's the one I'm
Yeah.
referring to.
Oh, no. These
Are
are
we-
down, these go down the road.
Down near
Yeah.
the pavilions,
Yes.
okay. So I apologize, I consider Painter Park the wooden park,
Yeah.
and I don't know what anyone else. Are we doing any work there? Has any money been
No.
allocated for that?
And I don't think there needs to be. I think that is well-maintained and taken care of
Oh,
by
if
other.
you've looked
so-
on some,
so-
I don't,
No?
they, no.
Okay. All right, I'm not, no one's talking
I
about
know,
it.
I know.
Yeah.
It was brought to my attention, I don't read, but the way it is where you go when you wanna find something else, so they sent it to me, that there are a situation at Painter Park, the wooden park, so that's not in our.
No, never even looked at it.
Can we, or are we out of money?
No, we actually have plenty of money.
Could you put that on your
I
list?
can have Ernie take a look at it, sure.
I really appreciate that. There was just some concerns that the slide is down, the wood is starting to splinter. So I don't know if it just, we don't do the yearly maintenance that a wooden park requires. I don't know.
Okay, I'll take a
My
look.
dad would know. That's all I got, Chairman.
What you got to say?
That's all I gotta say about that.
Sarah?
I have a quick question. Hi, Ken.
Hello, how are you?
Well, thank you. So for the recycling center, is this predominantly self-served, or are we gonna have somebody come out to the residents that aren't able to bring extra large
Sure,
objects?
so that question is going into policy, which is not me, but here's what I understand. Based on what I've seen other towns do, is the center of this thing is elevated, you back your car up, and you literally throw it into the dumpster below.
Okay,
There's not a situation where you're lifting up over your head to put it in.
okay,
I've been told, and this is what I've been told, I haven't seen it in the paper, that there'll be an allowance for people who can't make the trip by vehicle.
okay,
So I think the greatest benefit is we now have these 60-some-odd containers to dump this debris into, and it is broken up the minute they show up.
Okay,
We're not
perfect.
paying somebody to bring it to a big warehouse and separate it.
right,
And say it's already been separated.
right,
And most people can do it by the back of their car, just
Okay.
throwing it out. And then I understand that there will be a city truck that will come to your house if you can prove
That's
you
what I
need-
wanted to
you
know.
need them-
Perfect.
Need them to come. Yeah.
excellent, thank you, I appreciate that.
I don't think there's a fee for using the transfer station. There may be a small fee for coming to your house, I don't know.
Thank you, Ken.
Thank you.
Any questions?
So I've been to the one in Wallingford. I don't know if you've been to that one, have you?
I've not been to that one, no.
That's almost exactly what this is, cause I've been there. But I didn't realize, and I think actually the town of Wallingford mans that, I think, I don't know.
I think you're right.
So, and it was interesting actually going there, because you're right. The dumpsters are below, you're up above, and you just bag up.
Yeah.
and you throw it out, so I imagine that we would have, that would be a cost if we man that ourselves.
So again, I don't want to speculate, but whatever that cost is, it is way less expensive than these bulk pickups that you're doing and having trash all over the town.
Well, I would agree with
Yeah.
you there, cause you can go right by my house and there's a bulk drop right on Stevens Avenue.
Yeah. I have a marginal drive every day. I know.
Listen, you can't keep up with it.
I know.
It's terrible. I would love to have see that here next year.
I mean, I would venture to say that your reduction in tipping fees alone could pay for your employees to man that station.
That would be awesome.
Yeah. So.
Thanks for putting that in, or working on that, because we really need that here.
Yeah, that got lost for a little while because somebody else was dealing with it, and when I got back involved, we got it to this stage, so it's moving ahead.
It'll be a home run, I'm pretty sure.
But most of the larger projects are in some level of design, and we have a good shot of spending this money very quickly.
And when did the high school field started already?
Started.
Will that be finished before school's open?
No, it'll be finished mostly sometime in September, and then it'll continue on through the winter for the softball field.
So will the boys be able to play football there?
They won't be able to play their first game there, maybe, but certainly shortly after that. There's been arrangements being made. Yeah.
Oh, so that works out.
Yeah. So well, maybe their first home game, but we'll
Right.
yeah, we're working on it.
I do go to the game, so that's why. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Set there,
Actually,
Rich?
one more thing.
Sure.
I will need to get a hold of you because I want to take you somewhere.
Okay, just give me a call.
Okay.
Great.
Councilman Donovan.
So, again, thanks again for the rundown. Again, with the transfer station, in the beginning, we're just keeping it to locals, correct? West Haven residents?
Policy, I don't know, sir.
We don't know that? You
No.
haven't talked about that?
My job's to build it. I'm
Right.
assuming it's gonna be for locals, but I don't wanna say. I don't really know.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, all set, yep.
Thank you.
Councilman Hamilton?
What is the timeline for the Carrigan boilers? Is it gonna be in time for this winter?
So the law requires that we turn the heat on October 15th, okay? We're gonna be able to do that with the existing steam units we have. One unit is fully functional. The second unit we've identified, we think needs $10,000 in work. We're gonna,
We're gonna fix that.
you gotta fix it, gotta have redundancy. You can't go into school with just 140,000 square feet. You can't have one boiler. There's long lead times on the equipment. We just got approved by MARB not too long ago, so we couldn't do much with it. The specifications are detailed but far along. I can guarantee you that we'll have heat in the building, but I can also tell you they'll be working through the winter to get this done.
What happens to all the old, like, metal in the wall? Do we,
Yeah,
like, sell it?
No, good question. So what happens is the actual element that heats the rooms gets converted from steam to water that stays. The problem we're having is the pipes in the ceiling that feed large sections of the building, they're the ones that are failing. So we're gonna put in a smaller pipe, because water requires a smaller pipe than steam, and we're gonna use that bigger pipe as support to run the smaller pipe. And
So all that existing pipe will
will
be
stay.
there?
Yeah, and that's gonna save us a lot of money on demo, which is why I think we're gonna come in under 4.2.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Councilman O'Connor?
Is the $10,000 to repair the existing boiler already in the budget, or is that an added expense?
It's in the 4.2 million.
Thank you.
Councilman Fagliani?
Be quick, Mr. Chairman. So Ken, the approved business lease rental program, mental health grant, and arts grant, are those applications out already?
So the business application's been out for some time. One of the things that happened is we had the attorneys and the accountants write the applications, and they were so complicated to follow, people weren't filling them out. So we had another meeting, we took a lot of stuff out, we did the bare bones, we labeled it better, and the business was the first one to go out, and now we got people responding to it pretty well. The other three were just redone, and procurement tells me they're on the list to be advertised very soon.
So is that like a week?
I was told I was position 9, 10, and 11, whatever that means. So I think by the end of this week, early next week, yeah.
Thank you.
Set? Any more questions? Thank you, Ken.
All right, thank you,
Yeah,
everybody.
appreciate
Have a
it.
wonderful night. I'll see you at the Savile Rock Slide. You guys have a great night.
Okay.
So,
Now
the
we'll,
fin-
now we'll go back to the
Finance.
finance.
So
So
we
the
are
fi-
ending the
fin-
council as a whole at 8:15.
Yep.
And back out of recess for the
we're
finance
out of-
committee at 8:15.
And the police
So the finance committee is out of recess at 8:15, and I am tickled pink to make this motion. I just wanna make sure you hear me, chief. We're going into executive session. Can I have a motion? I made the motion, can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstentions?
Abstentions?
Motion carries.
Good.
So, with all pleasure, I ask those who were not invited to stay to leave the room so that we can have a discussion. So, I'm ecstatic. 8:53, and the Finance Committee is back in session.
Dave, you wanna get the lady for the, Health Department to come in here?
Her name is Hillary.
Hillary?
Hillary.
Yeah.
She is out there.
I know the last time it was like disappearing now.
Oh, boy.
She ain't there.
She was just out there.
Green shirts.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
Just do your regular.
Okay.
I
She
just can't. I really just can't. So we have communication B from Chief Joseph Perno, West Haven Police Department regarding animal shelter donations. I'd like to bring this out favorably.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. We have communication C from Chief Terenzio, Allentown Fire Department regarding a request for interdepartmental transfer of funds. I'd like to bring this out favorably.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries. Communication D from Pamela Alvino, Director of Personnel regarding the tentative agreement between the City of West Haven. Can we please ask them, it's a lot for me. Thank you. Communication D from Pamela Alvino, Director of Personnel regarding the tentative agreement between the City of West Haven and Local 1303, 345 water pollution. I'd like to bring this out favorably.
Motion.
Second? Thank you. Discussion? Attorney, if you might wanna come up here for us, please. I have and anyone else from the Finance Committee have a question? Why, I appreciate that, but you can go for first.
That's right, it's all yours.
So I love the fact that the paycheck's scheduled every 2 weeks.
Yes.
Is that going to be the norm going forward when we renegotiate contracts? Like, is that,
Yes, we've asked
because
all
we've
the
only waited
unions.
6 years.
We've asked all the unions that are currently in negotiations to go to bi-weekly pay. And this union agreed to it.
Fantastic, because years ago, we were talking about how it's a money saver. It's absolutely a money saver. You should probably speak to how that's going to happen and the front end money that the members, if you can.
Yes, the overall settlement was a 2.5% general wage increase, which Allentown had before them. And we're asking other unions to accept that. The 2.5% might be a little low compared to area, so we had offered them as part of going to bi-weekly pay, that was a one-time bonus that would not go into your pay, but would actually help you transition from missing one paycheck. Instead of being paid for the work that week, in week one, you're gonna be paid for it in week two, but you're gonna have a $750 check to help you get through that. And we're planning to do it next spring so that people can plan, and the union thought that was a good idea. So the $750 kind of goes with the general wage increase. Excuse me. And in addition, we increased their premium share by 1.5% over 3 years during the state partnership plan. We thought again that is money that goes to their pocket, and it's all part of the wage package.
Councilman, want to ask you a quick question?
Yeah. So Chris, their contract, 3-year contract before that, they had a 0, a 1, and a 2, right? Correct. So now we're bringing them up to what's consistent with the other unions, right?
Correct.
I think that was my only point of clarification that I had. Thank you.
Anyone else? Can you speak to, do we know the monetary value or savings by going to every 2 weeks? Like, what that, any idea?
With just this one union, it's pretty negligible. We can get this done across the board, you know. I really haven't done the math, so, but it should be pretty significant. And it will take a few years to get there, which, will make it easier to convert one at a time.
Mm-hmm,
But
right.
half the processing fees, which are significant, our processing fees are around $200,000 a year with AUP. Half the cost for checks. You didn't mention it, but I believe they're also agreeing to direct deposit. Is that right?
Yeah, but 90% of their members do that anyway, so we're just trying to get the rest of them in.
But putting that in this contract enables us to say, hey, when we go to the next one.
We have talked about it for as long as I was on the city council. I couldn't believe it was still that very antiquated way of doing business that just costs money. Just
The last two employers I had no choice. So,
absolutely.
but here's the thing I wanted to mention, if you don't mind. Board of Ed, you're getting paid by direct deposit. And they're just sitting down here in this building, you know, so it's like, wow, we need to get there.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. I'll open it up to the entire councilman.
Chris, thank you. Is this in line with the other city contracts that you've been a part of? Like, is this
Yes.
pretty standard?
Yep.
In line with the other rates?
It is consistent with the other settlements we've reached in the last 2 years.
All in line?
Yep.
Thank you. Nothing else.
Oh, councilman, would you? No. Okay. Councilman Gagliano.
So the 750, is that grossed up, or is that
No.
taxable?
That would be taxable.
And so I'm with you with the direct deposit. So what we do, what if somebody doesn't want direct deposit? Are they allowed to not have direct deposit?
No, we wouldn't, unless there's some really compelling reason.
The option would be,
A pay card? Okay. Because we do the same thing with where I am. I just find it, I've had direct deposit probably 20+ years now, because who wants to go to the bank?
Right.
So, and then we do pay cards, that's why, so I was wondering if that was an option.
that would be an option to consider. I think we push very hard for the direct deposit. That's what I would do.
Thank you.
The lollipop. The lollipop is why they wanted half the check. When they go, you said why they got the lollipop at the bank.
I forgot about the lollipops.
Councilman?
Chris, how many members are there in this union? Jeez, I don't know, is it 25?
25, 26. It's, like I said, it's not the significant.
That's all right, just curious, but around, okay, thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Absent? Motion carries.
Thank you, nice seeing everyone.
You too.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Chris.
you so much for all your work.
Oh, thank you, it's my pleasure.
Communication C from June 26, 23, agenda from David Taylor, acting finance director, regarding an ordinance appropriating to $12,780,100 from fiscal year 22-23 capital plan, authorizing the issuance of $12,780,100 in bonds. Can I have a motion?
Motion to
bring
approve.
us-
Second.
Do what? Sorry, was I supposed to do that?
No.
Oh, okay.
No,
Oh, we have two motions? I apologize. Yes.
We don't have two motions.
What motion? Oh, we had a motion, have a second?
We have a motion and a
Oh,
second.
that's what, oh, I thought you said no.
No, we don't have two motions.
I meant the first and the second.
We have a first and a second.
apologize. Okay, any discussion? Thank you.
So David, so just to put out again, the list of projects that we're going to be bonding for has already been calculated in our capital financial plan, and it's consistent with the number in the budget, is that correct?
It's actually a little less, the revisions that we made to this.
Okay. Thank you.
You're more than welcome, Councilman. Does anyone else have any other questions? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. And we have communication asked. Thank you, Hillary, for being here. We appreciate you. From the June 12, 23 agenda from Maureen Lillis, Director of Health Department, regarding changes to the fee schedule. Do you want to come to the podium? Do you have anything you want to say or explain, or we might have? Oh, didn't we not do the motion? Motion.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.
I
We're
second.
opening it to discussion.
Absolutely.
Elisa, yeah.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Louise.
Hi. So I'm here on behalf of Maureen Lillis, the Director of Health. And it's about our 2023 fee schedule. I believe she discussed this before, and I provide a copy to everyone. And I'm not sure what questions you guys have where we left off with this, but I'm here to answer any questions as needed. Most of the fees are the same, some has been reduced. Not really, maybe there is 2 increase, but the majority of the fees are the same.
Can you tell us what has gone up? 'Cause-
Yes, so, what has changed is our temporary permit fees. So under temporary permit on page 1, we have temporary permit fee. In the past, it was $100 for 1-day event. So what we decided to do is to just change it. And then 2 to 14 days was $200. So now we just change everything to $150. So if it's 1 day, it's $150. If it's 2 to 14 days, it's the same price. Just easy for accounting purposes. And it's also easy, yeah, I think so. And so then we also decided to go to the 200 if they're late. So if someone comes in, if we receive the temporary permit application less than 10 business days before the event, it will be a $200 fee. In the past, it would be a $50 late fee, and we have a lot of pushbacks with that, and we are not able to waive fee or anything like that. So I think the Director of Health maybe decided that was becoming a problem, and we will have to send people to discuss it with council. So we decided maybe to make it a little easier for the community. We reduce it, but then we go up if they're late.
So can I ask you a quick question? And this really speaks to Councilwoman Tucker and her. Is that when the person comes in to get the temporary permit fee, is it disclosed on that
Yes.
if you don't I'm just asking.
Yes.
So if they literally, if they don't read it, that's on
Right,
them. Okay.
right.
Now, I just want to make sure it wasn't on the
Yes.
door or.
No,
That's
it's always
great.
disclosed on our application.
Oh,
It's already on
fantastic.
the application. We'll put it on the application if this fee schedule is approved. So this is just what we're proposing.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And are those just the only 2 changes?
We also make some changes for nonprofit organization. In the past, it was $25. She went down to $15. permit application fee. If you have a current West Haven Health Department permit, in the past that was $35, and she's proposing to go down to $25.
So when is this proposed to go into effect?
I would have to say if the council approve it, I think she wanted it to be in effect. I would, maybe for, I'm not sure. I would
Okay.
say maybe for
So I think that's
this
really,
fiscal year.
right, really
Yes.
important to know, Mr. Taylor, because my only question is, not my only, this particular question is for you, is because didn't we use this as far, in regards to,
Loosely. Yes.
you read my mind before I stated my question, that's fantastic. Did you wanna tell everybody what I was referring to? You wanna know?
She wouldn't know if I used that to make the budget.
So it's in the budget?
Right,
No,
so,
but we used what was all, I don't see a significant change in the total fees collected by this department. Things went up, things went down. I spoke with Ms. Lillis, and what drove her to some of these changes was that our neighboring communities, for example, the nonprofits, she's now doing what they do with nonprofits. She felt like, oh, why am I charging these nonprofits so much money?
they got everything for free.
Yeah, so our neighboring communities charge that lower fee, and she wanted to be matching them, for example.
Oh.
I think they were all good ideas. But I
So-
don't think it's a material change, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, that's fantastic. So I would just say, Stacy, or Chairman, our ordinance should state, and maybe it does, I have to look at it, when this goes into effect. Does it, where's communication? Oh. No, am I not? I mean, it can't go into effect today, you have to at least put it on.
The mayor has to sign it, so maybe it's on her signature.
When would this go into effect, Attorney Agello? Like what, it doesn't say on the ordinance when it's going into effect, so if we vote for it today, the mayor then has to sign it, or should we just say September 1st?
You could determine
Yeah.
So I think we need to make an amendment at some point to it, to the. Do you
To the-
understand what I'm saying?
I know
'Cause it
exactly
might
what
be
you're saying.
confusing.
Do it in the resolution.
It'll be done in the resolution, and you don't really need to amend anything, we could just add it to
Add
the
it.
end of
Add it
it.
to the end of the resolution.
I think in a month. Yeah, I think it's.
But would we vote on it, would we vote on it at the five of us that are here at the finance committee to say September 1st, and then have the council as a whole? Or do we wait until I read the amendment to say it's September 1st, and then everybody votes on it?
Both ways.
I would say, make the motion to add that in with the finance committee, and then when it comes out to the whole council will vote.
Oh, that's what I was saying, I
That's
thought they said
exactly-
no.
yes.
Yes, that is what we have to do.
So I'd like
I
to
have-
amend the motion to include the date of, that it starts at
Implementation.
September 1st, 2023.
I second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Any other questions for Councilwoman Hamilton, then Councilwoman O'Connor?
I just wanna commend the health department for being very transparent. I'm able to go on the site, go to the health department and figure out what your fees are. There's no guessing.
Yeah.
And I hope that all the other departments kinda, mimic what you're doing there, because that's transparency, and we appreciate it. If you can let, Maureen know that.
I will. Okay.
All set,
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Connor?
That was my question. I've never had to look for any fees, and I was wondering if they were online.
Yes,
So
they
thank
are.
you for having that done.
Thank you.
Open up to the rest of the council, going once? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. And your committee on finance is closed at 9:10. Oh, what did I miss?
my bottle.
He dropped it
Oh.
again.
Again,
It's very distracting this side of it.
again.
I used to have somebody sit there.
Thank you, Councilwoman Hosky.
You're supposed to use
All right. Any unfinished business? Committee reports. So we'll go to committee reports, and you'll have, read that, tax thing there.
We have communication A from the tax collector regarding overpayment refunds for July 2023, which will be filed with tonight's minutes, Mr. Chairman. Oh, jeez.
It was her.
You sure there's water in that thing?
That's what we asked them.
No, it's empty now.
Okay, we're going back to the committee reports, and we'll start with the finance committee.
Do we still need, Hillary can leave now, right?
Yeah, she was.
No, I mean, you don't have to stay any longer if you don't want to.
Not
I don't
gonna
want
be
you
more
to think.
questions?
Yeah. What am I doing? Oh, you want me to go back in? Oh. Okay, so, thank you. So communication B, so to the Honorable City Council of the, I'm gonna stutter. To the City Council of the City of West Haven, your Committee on Finance, to whom was referred the matter of the animal shelter donations, reports that the committee met on the 24th day of July. Would you mind?
You sure? Okay,
Yeah.
that'd be good. All right. The committee met on the 24th day of July 2023 to consider said matter. It is unanimous opinion of the committee that the following motion be presented. Resolved, the West Haven Police Department has received the following donations totaling $360 to the animal shelter per Connecticut Statute 7148C 3A and B and General Order 9804. We are forwarding these donations for approval. City Council of the City of West Haven hereby approves the animal shelter donations to be deposited into the animal shelter donations account 101-000-000-28285. Angela Russo, $100. Joanne Hugendubel Case, $135. North End Host Company Number 3, $50. Stop and Shop, $4. Barbara Brown, $15. Front Stream SPV LLC, $56.
Councilman Quagliani brought forward communication B to approve the communication B as read in the record. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
Communication C, to the Honorable City Council of the City of West Haven, your Committee on Finance, to whom was referred the matter of Chief Michael Terenzio, Allentown Fire Department, Inter-Department Line Item Transfers. Reports the committee met on the 24th day of July 2023 to consider said matter. It is unanimous opinion of the committee that the following motion be presented. Resolved, the City Council of the City of West Haven hereby approves the following Inter-Department Line Item Transfers. Line Item 1950010560010, unallocated contingency, decrease $15,000. Line item 1950030533250, tools and miscellaneous equipment, increase $15,000.
Councilman Quagliani brought forward to approve communication C as read into the record. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes unanimously.
Communication D, to the Honorable City Council of the City of West Haven, your Committee on Finance, to whom was referred the matter of a tentative agreement between the City of West Haven and Local 1303-345 water pollution. Reports of the committee met on the 24th day of July 2023 to consider said matter. It is unanimous opinion of the committee that the following motion be presented, authorizing resolution of the City of West Haven City Council, whereas the City of West Haven and Local 1303-345 of Council for ASME, AFL-CIO, the Union, have entered into a full tentative agreement for the time period of July 1, 2023 to June 30, 2026, and whereas the City Council of the City of West Haven is required to approve the collective bargaining agreement in accordance with Connecticut General Statutes, Section 7474, whereas the mayor and administration have executive duties for administering contractual relationships, resolve the tentative agreement with the union attached hereto for a collective bargaining agreement for the time period of July 1, 2023 to June 30, 2026 is approved, and the mayor or her designee is authorized to execute a final agreement. Further resolved that Nancy R. Rossi, as mayor of the City of West Haven, is authorized and directed to execute and deliver any and all documents related to this resolution on behalf of the city of West Haven, and to do and perform all acts and things which she deems to be necessary or appropriate to carry out the terms of such documents, including but not limited to executing and delivering all agreements and documents contemplated by such documents.
Councilman Quaglione has brought forward to approve communication D, read into the record. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
Communication C from the June 26, 2023 agenda to the Honorable City Council of the City of West Haven. Your Committee on Finance was referred the matter from David Taylor, Acting Finance Director, regarding the ordinance appropriating and authorizing bonds in the amount of $12,780,100 for the costs associated with certain capital projects included in the fiscal year 22-23 capital budget of the city. Reports that the committee met on the 24th day of July 2023 to consider said matters. In the unanimous opinion of the committee, the following motion be presented. Resolved, pursuant to the city charter at Chapter 4, City Council, Section 7C, the following is a summary of the proposed ordinance concerning the appropriation of bonding for certain capital projects included in the fiscal year 2022-23 capital budget of the city. The proposed ordinance provides for the following. Approves and appropriates certain capital projects approved in fiscal year 22-23 capital budget of the city, and authorizes city bonds in a maximum amount of $12,780,100 plus cost of issuance to finance such capital projects in accordance with the requirements of Chapter 109 in the Connecticut General Statutes. Authorizes the mayor, the finance director, and the treasurer of the bond committee to sell such bonds in a competitive or negotiated offering. Authorizes bonds to be issued pursuant to the terms of the city trust indenture. Authorizes bond committee to issue bond anticipation notes for short-term financing prior to the issuance of the bonds. Authorizes the bond committee to take all necessary actions in connection with the issuance of the bonds, including actions relating to the tax-exempt nature of the bonds, the reimbursement of prior city capital expenditures, and those needed to satisfy post-issuance disclosure obligations. Authorizes the mayor, the finance director, and other duly authorized city officials to apply for grants for the capital projects. The communication known as amended communications free from the June 26, 2023 agenda is incorporated by reference as part of the summary as if fully read herein. The ordinance is in its entirety is available for review on the city website and upon request.
Councilman Quaglione has brought forward to approve communication C for June 26, 2023 meeting as read into the record. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
Communication F from the June 12, 2023 agenda to the Honorable City Council of the City of West Haven. Your Committee on Finance must refer the matter Maureen Lillis, MPH Director of West Haven Health Department, regarding changes to the fee schedule. Reports the committee met on the 24th day of July 2023 to consider said matter. It is the unanimous opinion of the committee that the following motion be presented. Resolved, the City Council of the City of West Haven hereby approves the changes to the West Haven Health Department 2023 fee schedule as attached, effective September 1st, 2023.
Councilman Quaglione has brought forward to approve communication F for the June 12, 2023 agenda. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. And you're right.
All set.
Finance.
Set. Finance committee is done. 9:20. All set?
All set.
Adoption of ordinances and previous presented.
Chairman, we could ask the attorney to, give us some information. At what point would we ask him to come up? We were waiting for some answers. Did we miss unfinished business? Should that have taken place there?
We'll bring them up in new business.
Thank you.
All right? You good?
It's okay with me.
Okay. Council liaison reports. No? Set? New business.
Go ahead.
Mine's really quick.
Well, you pointed to me, so I'll take the lead.
Yeah.
Can we put in a request to maintenance and have this chair fixed? 'Cause it's still sitting here.
Yeah, I put the means to move that sign, that picture over there, yeah.
Great, so if we could,
Don't get
have
trouble.
that done, I would love that. I also am hoping to try to determine, about the flooding signs, on the underpasses, that I know that we have these yellow signs that say flooding possible, but I'm wondering if there's paint markings, or if there's a way to mark, cause I know we can't raise the train tracks because that's, but can we do markings to show people when the water's there, it'll say 6 feet, or 4 feet, or 3 feet, or something, if we could do more in regards to displaying. I know residents say, oh, I know that it floods, and but in an effort to save lives and people's livelihood and their cars, that if under the underpass, I know there's one in the 10th district, I believe, near Apple Oil, that they have that underpass, but if there's just some type of markings where if you're looking out and you see the water and it's next to this, they know going in, it's 4 feet deep. And I don't know if that's a thing, but maybe it can be. Like, maybe we can lead that change, so.
Send a letter to the Public Works and see if they can do
Great.
something.
I'm not done yet. So then, I have a list. And can we find out, and I don't know if we can, if the Haven has been sold? Like, can we inquire of them if it's been sold? Because it'll stop people from coming in and saying what we can do. We don't own the Haven, but if it's been sold to another developer, or they haven't, then at least people will know they still have an opportunity to bid on the property. But we are not and cannot do anything, correct, Attorney Agello? You said that we can't speak on the sellings of properties because we can inadvertently open ourselves up to litigation, I
Well, if we're not a
believe.
party to if we're not a party to that transaction,
We
then
should mind our
shouldn't really do
business.
anything that would interfere with that transaction. If it was sold, in some respects, if the property was sold, then it should be recorded on the land records in the clerk's office.
So can we find out, and then maybe we let somebody know at the next meeting, yes, the property has been sold, or it's still open, cause I think there's this uncertainty.
Taylor has a
Yeah, yes, I'm
stand up for you, Bridget.
Oh, my apologies.
The city was known for sold, he just mentioned it will be recorded at the clerk's office. They have to tell us if they sell it. So,
Oh, yeah. So can we send a letter asking the clerk's office if it's been sold, if anything's been filed?
They could check it's online, they could go right on the computer and look it up. Like, it'll probably take like all of 1 minute to find that out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it'll just stop everything. And then, I'm going to be, reaching out, to we're changing the name, or looking to change the name of the corner of New Court and Campbell to Johnny Z's Memorial, or something along those lines. I'll be reaching out to his widow to see what she would like to name it, so hopefully at our next council meeting, we will be officially bringing forth a resolution to change that. So we spoke to traffic, we spoke to Park and Rec, we've done all of that. That's all I got.
Thank you.
Mine was really quick. In June, I had read a list of projects that were being done from planning and zoning. I would like to send a letter to invite Kathy Coniff to come and speak on those in case we have any questions. She's more than willing to come. If we could have her at the first September meeting, that would be really good.
Would you mind just sharing that list with me one more time?
Pardon me?
Would you mind just sharing that list with me one more time, like, in an email?
Yes.
Thank you.
All set?
Thank you.
Done?
All right, I'm gonna put you to work. Like, I would like an update status on all city-owned properties that we used to have that we sold or agreed to sell from January 1st, 2021 to present? I know it's before your time, but it seems like we've agreed to sell properties and the transactions haven't gone through, or we just never heard of anything, if it's sold.
So this is property that the
Property
city
that
of
the
West
city
Haven
used to own.
owns, and it was under contract since,
Owned, and we've sold properties, numerous properties
Yeah.
over the past 2 years. If we can get some kind of an update. I know it doesn't even have to be for next meeting, just, if we can get
and
it.
what was the timeline again?
Say January 1,
Okay.
2021 to present time.
2021?
2021, yeah, get 2 years, because I'm not sure when a couple properties I'm thinking about were done in 21 or 22. So, huh? And I know it's a little project there, but hopefully we can get it.
So like, are we addressing the 25 Herman?
Well,
The email from-
that'd be one. That would be one of them, yeah.
Right,
But
okay.
the other properties that we sold, like the Campbell Avenue,
Right.
we agreed to sell it. Has that money been exchanged? Has that been
The-
settled? Has that been, so
The
stuff
reason
like that.
I'm saying this, Chairman and Councilman, is that 25 Herman is an issue because the gentleman who believes he owns it is on that property doing work, and he doesn't own it yet. So this is, that has to be, and I'm not saying, that has to be a priority. This man is on that property diligently doing work, and he has a quick deed, or, and like, it's.
He has the deed.
He has the deed, then we haven't taken his check, what, I don't,
There's
can we
been
get
no
the
money
check the man owes
transaction.
us? Thank you, attorney.
Yeah, I will get the status of that particular transaction also.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I'm all set.
You all set? Anybody else?
So since we have the attorney up here, can we
Go ahead.
address? Hello.
Hi.
We had asked you a couple of questions last time, and I don't know if you were able to.
Which ones did you want to talk about?
You can go in any order you want.
I believe you asked me about the curfew.
Oh, that came up. That was one that we
That came up
talked
with a
about. Mm-hmm.
curfew, so what I realized is we do have a current curfew ordinance, but the problem is it was drafted in 1995, about 28 years ago. So since that time, similar curfew ordinances in other jurisdictions, other municipalities have been challenged and have been found unconstitutional. So, for example, the city of Vernon's curfew ordinance was struck down. Vernon's curfew ordinance was very similar to ours. So ours would probably really not withhold any constitutional challenge either. So that probably needs to be rewritten. And what the Second Circuit Court of Appeals has held is, if in order for it to be constitutional, we have to have a connection to what the issue is that we're trying to address. So the problem with the Vernon ordinance was there was a murder that took place. It took place in the middle of the day, and it wasn't committed by minors. But they drafted this ordinance to address minors after hours, and they dealt that really didn't deal with the nexus of what the problem was. So in order for us to have, I think, a constitutional curfew ordinance in West Haven, I think we would have to coordinate kind of with the police department to see if there's really a need, if we have minor kids creating crimes from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m., that is why we're having it, so that we could address a particular real issue, not just an issue we think is going on, but that we have no statistics or data to back up.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
Or if it's happening in just a certain area, address that area and.
correct.
To have a blanket curfew over the whole city.
E-
When there's just
exactly.
an isolated area, I would agree that.
So what the court held at that point is we want a reasoned analysis, not simply a mechanical application of a traditional, often inaccurate assumption as to minors, like, oh, they're just all going crazy at night. And then
Right.
you get there and nobody's going crazy at night. So we actually have to address a real problem. That's really how it holds up in court.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
Thank
so
you
that's what
for
we would
that.
have to do. If that's something, obviously, we would have to coordinate with the police department and get the data and statistics to indicate there is a need, and then address that need in the form of this ordinance.
Thank you.
Could you look into that? Could you go forward with that?
Yeah, I can contact the police department and find out if there is a need for that at that period.
I believe you also asked at the time too with respect to holding the farmer's market.
I think that did come up about vendors in
Oh,
the
okay.
city park.
Yes. So, there's a farmer's market, and there is an ordinance, right? So the ordinance is 170-2 under the Parks and Recreation provision. And what that basically states is that the no real property under the jurisdiction of the Board of Parks and Rec, including but not limited to the beach, water contiguous thereto, shall be leased, rented, or used for commercial purposes, or used except that the board may approve certain use designated areas of said property for the sale of food, soft drinks by a vendor or vendors, provided that such vendor or vendors shall enter into a contract with the city to operate such enterprise, after the same shall be placed for public bid and awarded by the city comptroller. So I reached out to the director of Parks and Recreation, explained to him that trying to figure out this particular ordinance and how it works with the farmer's market and if this is something that's allowed and approved. He makes a distinction. So the way that the director reads this is that this is not a commercial purpose, this is a city-sponsored event. So he has this designation, although he does admit that the language of 170-2 needs to be revised, which I agree with. He says that they've been trying to revise it with the Recreation Commission, but they're currently short a commissioner and had no ability to complete the task before the market started. He did also state that really nobody has a contract, and it's not set out for bid. So, and I believe there's a number of different people that have booths or whatever they have there. It's about 20, more than 20. So this is just kind of, I think it's the director sees it as a service that the city provides for the residents.
Right.
Who seem to enjoy it, which I'm like, that's fine. We just probably have to amend, I think, or clarify the 170-2. Perhaps it could be broken up into different sections with respect to city-sponsored events versus a commercial event. So a commercial event would be like if a private, let's say a private bar or restaurant wants to have a Cinco de Mayo event, that's a separate. Where if you have a city that says, well, we want to provide a farmer's market for people to enjoy, that's the distinction that the director makes.
Good, fine. Sure.
So it bothers me that we, not you, but we are singling out the farmer's market because it's not really just the farmer's market, it's the Savin Rock Festival that's getting ready to start.
Sure.
There's all these other things. So wouldn't past practice of the Park and Rec providing, because unions use it a lot of past practice, right? And you go with that. So they've been allowing this stuff for decades. So I know what the ordinance says, the 170-2, but past practice is that they've given permission in their body to do these things. Yes, again, what is against what is written, but it's a past practice, and we just need to update it. So it's not like the city's allowing things to go on that are incorrect. We're just allowing things to go on that have historically occurred in the city that has given quality of life benefits.
I don't think
you know?
I don't think there's a sinister motive here to, I just think that they've had this farmer's market. Here's what happens. Here's the way that these things typically unfold. You have a farmer's market. It's very popular. People like it. Nobody realizes that perhaps if you interpret the section another way, you might have to have contracts. You might have to put it out to bid. He interpreted this to say there's a distinction. He doesn't believe he does have to put it out to bid, but he does recognize in his correspondence with me that this section needs to be amended to accurately reflect perhaps the distinction between a civic event versus a private commercial event. But like I don't perceive it to be necessarily a promise what the city wants and encourages.
You all set?
Yeah, thank you.
The person that asked that question was not here tonight, but I think the distinction she was trying to make was, the ordinance says we can sell food, but not other stuff.
Correct.
So what you're saying then is if it's a city-sponsored event, then other stuff can also
I believe
be
the
sold.
distinction that the director made was because it's a civic event, because it's sponsored by the city, that particular section does not apply.
Okay.
And that he's reading it to say, like, you can have things, food and soft drinks and things associated with kind of a craft fair.
Awesome,
But
that's
that
what I
should-
wasn't
and that should just be
getting.
clarified.
Thank you.
So that's on the Park and Rec Commission to
Correct.
do that, not the city council.
Correct.
So it doesn't fall, like, oh, the city council's allowing, no, the Park and Rec is.
Yeah, no, everybody-
You're addressing it, no,
Yes.
I'm saying for the citizens, so that they know that doesn't fall. Thank you, thank you. I appreciate you getting back to
No problem.
us.
I appreciate it.
No problem.
You go, and then I have one quick one. Is that all right?
Yeah, whatever.
So my
Sorry.
question is about ordinances. I'm
Yes.
sorry. About ordinances, and so, Park Rec, for example, if they create an ordinance, is the process, what is the process to make an ordinance an ordinance? How does it become
To become a
legit?
law, yeah.
Right, law.
Well, I think it has to be proposed, the language has to be proposed, reviewed by probably reviewed by the Corporation Counsel's office, comes before the city council for a vote, and then becomes an ordinance.
Okay, and so the city council has to vote on it for it to be an ordinance?
Yes.
Okay, because, you know, I think sometimes what happens is, I don't know if people are aware of that process, because I hear of things being called an ordinance that are not recorded anywhere.
Yeah.
We haven't approved of it, we've never seen or heard of it, but yet it's being enforced to the public.
Yeah,
So-
it has to be, voted on by the city council.
Okay.
Yeah.
And are they
There's
report-
policies, perhaps, that individual departments may have, but for their internal operations, but as far as a citywide, application, it has to be voted on by the council.
Are they recorded somewhere where they kept?
There's a code, right? So there's a city code.
Okay.
So that's where it's recorded.
Okay.
And that's online too, that's on
Yeah.
the website.
Okay. And so, yeah, so I think, and that's the challenge, and so this goes back to the conversation I was having earlier about transparency and making sure that when we apply these ordinances or these rules, that they're applied across the board equally, because the perception becomes that somehow we are doing something that's, I don't know what the word you use.
Sinister.
Sinister, right, because that's what it feels like to people when they don't get the same,
Of course. Yeah, of course.
right? And so that's what we're dealing with right now. That's what we're up against, and I think at this point in time, it's very important to be crystal clear as glass, about what it is that we are, you know.
Well, I think that's the importance of having an ordinance approved by the city council, is
Yeah.
the city council kind of speaks for the citizens of West Haven.
So I think that we probably need to encourage the departments that are quote-unquote enforcing ordinances
Uh-huh.
to ensure that they're legal.
Yeah.
Before they do so, and I don't know how we do that, because I personally have been, you know, told of an ordinance that no one can find.
It seems that this is the kind of situation where, like, it's the farmer's market kind of a situation, where somebody brings it up and says, hey, is this being addressed adequately? And then you review it, and then you realize, you know what, this is probably a good opportunity to amend that particular ordinance and maybe bring it up to date. So a lot, like the curfew, for example, you know, maybe 28 years ago when this was enacted, it seemed to be very popular to use this one curfew statute across the state. Maybe there was a need then that doesn't exist now. It's a very different world today from 28 years ago. So, you know, that's something we look at and we say, okay, we could update this and make it more actually constitutional to uphold the law.
Yeah, thank you.
All set?
Yes.
Since you're here, I'm working with another department, on something without getting into all the detail. They sent a certified letter to the household because they were doing something wrong. They needed to come in and talk about it. They never signed for the letter, so they never received it. The department head told me now it goes to Corporation Council, so what is the next step? What do you do now?
Well, based on just what you just told me, which is all I know about whatever this is, I would have a marshal serve that notice to make sure that this person actually receives the notice. I also have had problems with having certified mails get signed for, or the green card comes back and there's no signature on it at all, which is a problem. Then ultimately you have to default to having a marshal serve the individual at their house or wherever they work, just to ensure that they've been served with whatever this notice is that you're trying to get to them.
Okay, yeah, I didn't wanna go into all the details in public.
Which is fine.
We could talk later.
But it's just a matter of you have to have some proof that they've received the notification. So if you have a marshal serve it, the marshal then gives you what's called a marshal's return. It's basically a statement
that I served this individual on this date with the notice provided for the city of West Haven. And that's proof that that individual has gotten that notice.
Thank you. I'm
So
done.
I have one more. The Code of Ethics Ordinance, when will that obtain its E number to be published? I was told that the mayor signed it and it's in Corp Council's hands.
It might be with Attorney Tiernan, I do not have that, but I could find out for you and find out what
I
the status
think
is.
it would be great, cause the Ethics Committee,
Can I answer that, please?
no, you said you didn't have an answer.
Yeah, I sent it to you.
I read it, that wasn't,
It's gotta be published by the E company, and the Corporation Council, Lee gave it to them. They're at a holdup because they're short people. It's gotta be on the E, whatever that E thing is.
E-code.
E-code.
okay, if you can find out about it,
I'll find out,
it
too.
really
Yeah,
needs
find
to
out.
happen.
That's what I was told. Said it was gonna be done. Motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.
Oh, that's it? Okay, thank you.